I just finished Ignite Me by Tahira Mafi, and I have so many thoughts and feelings on this book that I needed to do a discussion right now. Like, I literally just finished this book 10 minutes ago, and I was like, I need to talk about something. I can't even form words right now. Like, what is coming out of my mouth? I don't even know. Mind blown. Okay, so if you haven't read Ignite Me by Tahira Mafi, this is the part of the video that I'm going to say, go ahead and leave, read the book, and come back, and then we'll talk about it. But I'm pretty sure probably like half of the booktube community has already finished Ignite Me, so a bunch of you will be able to watch this, and let's get started on what I thought of this book. So there were a few things that were foreshadowed in the beginning of the book. One of them being when she picks up Kenji when they're like walking through the forest or whatever and they're invisible. I think they're invisible. Then when he's injured at the end, she ends up carrying him. And I thought that was really cool because in the beginning it's like funny, and then at the end it's sad. But there was one thing that I thought was a foreshadow. I was so sure it was foreshadowing. And then we get to the end and nothing came of it. She goes to Adam's house and James is like, I knew you weren't dead, like I had this feeling. And everyone's like, yeah, and he's like, no, I had this feeling that you were alive. And I was like, oh my god, James has some sort of power. He's like able to sense people or something, you know? And I thought that was gonna be like a big thing in the end. I thought that she was going to be on the ship fighting Anderson and James was going to come in and kick some ass. I thought he was going to have some sort of power and he was going to use it against his own father and find out that that was his father. But that didn't happen. I was like a little bit disappointed. I really liked that ending that I had conjured in my head. I also thought when Warner was showing her the ring that he had, I thought that was going to be foreshadowing for something because I was actually on Instagram and while I was reading this and I saw a picture of a book that Tahira Mafi had signed that said, will you marry me, darling? And I was like, somebody just spoiled this for me. Warner's gonna propose to Juliet and they're gonna get married. And I really thought that that's what was gonna happen. I was like, I said something on Twitter and I was telling friends and stuff, I was like, I just got spoiled and I'm so mad. I got to the end and I was like, oh, they didn't get married? I really thought that Warner was gonna give his ring to her and propose to her on the roof at the end, and I was kind of like, not disappointed, but I kind of wanted them to do that because usually I hate that because it's so cliche, especially with Twilight. Everything after that now when a character gets like married or whatever, at the end of the book, I'm just like, oh, and I roll my eyes, but I kind of wanted them to be together forever, so I don't know. Another thing that I thought was foreshadowing that wasn't was when Warner goes and his mom is dead and the room is empty. Well, then at the end when the twins are like, oh, Anderson has this secret weapon that he's hiding or whatever, be careful, I thought it was going to be the mom. I thought that Anderson had taken the mom out of the room, that she hadn't died, and that he was going to use her as like a bargaining thing, or to torture Warner, either way. And then I thought Warner was going to be already in the room. So the ending basically, in a nutshell, did not go in any direction that I thought it was going to go in. And while I feel like I should be disappointed, I'm not. I'm actually almost happy because she surprised me. Although I feel like my endings were a little bit more dramatic than what she had, but I was still really happy with the ending. Oh, and the other thing about the ending was that blonde guy that she said looked familiar. I thought that maybe that was another one of Anderson's sons, like Warner and Adam and James's half-brother. And I was kind of like, where was she going with that? Why bother to mention that he looks familiar and that he has blonde hair if you're just gonna like brush over it after you kill him? So I was kind of a little disappointed. I feel like we need like an epilogue or like another novella just so we can like know what happened, because I feel like there were so many things that were still like left to our imagination that I just need to know the answers to. Can we just talk about how Adam is crazy? What was that? He just went nuts. Like, I was not expecting that at all. He was a very passionate person in the first and second book, but like I didn't think he would ever take that passion and make it cray-cray. Like, he's just nuts. And at first I felt it was a little inconsistent with his character, but then the more I thought about it, it was like, no, he really thought that he loved, or maybe he really did love Juliet, and he would like do anything for her. So of course he's gonna fight till the very end to stay in that relationship. So that kind of made sense, but it was kind of annoying at first because it was like, I just want her to be with Warner and I need you to get out of the picture because you're just ruining everything and you're making everything uncomfortable. Like seriously, how many times do you have to break up with somebody before they get like the idea that you're not gonna get back together? Like it was so awkward. I was cringing for him. I remember after reading book 1 and also Destroy Me, the novella, I was so torn. I was like, I really like this Warner character and I feel like I shouldn't. Like it felt wrong to like him, and I was like, if this is wrong, then I don't want to be right. I think what I really, really liked about him in book 3 was that he was so mature, because when he finds out that Adam is his brother, he doesn't blame Juliet for not telling him. Like, he says, you should have told me, but he doesn't like start this whole fight. I was expecting him to be like, oh, I don't want to talk to you ever again, and like run out of the room crying or something, and then they would fight for a while and then get back together. No, he was just like, you should have told me, whatever. And I love that. But I liked that the book was kind of self-aware, along with Juliet being self-aware, that there's this thing called lust, and when you're 17 or 18, sometimes you think you're in love, but you're really not. And I think that it's amazing that she actually addressed that, because a lot of books that have insta-love, they don't. So it was like, finally somebody was saying like, okay, I thought I loved him, but maybe it was just because whatever situation we were in brought us together, and you know, there was a physical attraction, so then we thought that was love, but it wasn't. It was just, I was like, finally somebody is acknowledging this, because that's real life. The arcs were fantastic. I mean, if you look at Juliet in book 1, she's really whiny and she's really like depressed and really like drawn into herself. As the story goes on, by the 3rd book, she is strong and she thinks that she deserves love, and she thinks that she can do anything, and she's just so confident. And I just loved how we see that broad arc, because I feel like in a lot of books we don't get that, because we're craving such a kick-ass main heroine. And so if they're not that kick-ass in book 1, we sometimes maybe don't want to read the book, or we say like, oh, that she's not a good character. But if you see her now in book 3, she's gone through so much. Her situation was just so different because she was locked in a cell and imprisoned, and I feel like it's just, it made sense for her to start out that weak and then build her way up. And like she says in the end, she's like, if I had known I was this strong, I could have just punched myself. Not punched myself, but she could have just punched herself out of the room by punching the wall, and it would have broken, and then she would have never been trapped in there for 264 days or whatever. And oh my gosh, Kenji is my favorite character still, but this book like locked it in. He is my favorite character ever, and I think that's because he's hilarious. I literally laughed out loud so many times because his one-liners were just so funny, especially him interacting with Juliet. Like, amazing. Like the whole Kenny thing, I laughed so hard at that. I'm currently trying to write a manuscript. I've been trying to write for a while. I did NaNoWriMo and stuff. And so while I read now, I make sure I focus on the stories that I enjoy reading and what I enjoy about them. And not just that, I focus on like how the plot is constructed, the characters obviously, but also like the actual writing and how they choose to form their sentences. Where do they put commas? Which verbs do they use? Like all that stuff. So when I was reading this, I was like hyper aware, because Tahereh Mafi is just an amazing writer, and I just love her writing style so much, and I want to, I guess, emulate it. I don't want to copy it, obviously, but I like the fluidity of it, and I want to someday be that amazing. So let me share something that I noticed. Okay, so I can't find the exact thing that I wanted to show you, but I did find a scene. I think it's chapter 58, the last few pages of chapter 58, and it's one of the love scenes, and what really caught my attention is the pacing of it. It's kind of like a song where it kind of builds and like crescendo and decrescendo. So we have this like really fast pace description of them like making out or whatever, and it's a lot of commas and it's a lot of like long sentences, and then we get to some dialogue and it's very choppy, where we have like, you know, a lot, like a few lines of dialogue with not a lot of tags, not a lot of he said, she said, not a lot of like I touched his hair or whatever. None of that. It's just kind of like dialogue, and then it goes back into this like fluid rhythm almost. It's just perfect. And then like oh my gosh, I love her writing so much because it has that feeling of like it's flowing, and it's got different rhythms. I just love it. Also a big man. I'm not a big man. I'm also a big fan of metaphors. I love Sarah Dessen books for this very reason, and I really love Tahereh Mafi's writing for this reason because her metaphors are fantastic. Here's one that I just could not get out of my head. It says, "Words are like seeds, I think, planted into our hearts at a tender age. They take root in us as we grow, settling deep into our souls. The good words plant well. They flourish and find homes in our hearts. They build trunks around our spines, steadying us when we are feeling most flimsy, planting our feet firmly when we're feeling most unsure. But the bad words grow poorly. Our trunks infest and soil until we are hollow and housing the interests of others and not our own. We're forced to eat the fruits of these words have borne, held hostage by the branches, growing arms around our necks, suffocating us to death, one word at a time." So I think it's safe to say that Tahereh Mafi has some of the best writing ever. See, is that all I have to say? Oh, I liked that with like Omega Point when they're in the little building. Like it feels kind of like in Unravel Me when they're in Omega Point, like the building. It seems like really weird. Like it felt like it was almost like a whole other story because then you have all these kids that have like these superpowers or whatever, but they're contained all in this one little place, so it doesn't feel weird. But I loved when you put them back in the real world and they're like going invisible, making things like throw across the room, like the barbells that are such normal everyday objects, and then they're being used with the powers. Like I thought that was really cool to contrast the two worlds that we knew being put together, and to see Juliet's two worlds, because you have this world where she's with Warner at his house, and you have this world where she's with Adam at Omega Point. I mean, Warner's there for a little bit, but mostly it's her and Adam, and then you put those two worlds together, and it was just like so cool. I just loved it. But yeah, that's the end of my review. I'm just gonna sit in my corner and cry that this series is over because I loved it so much. So let me know if anything that I said in this video you thought, or you know, whatever your thoughts are on what I said. Let me know in the comments down below, and thanks for watching, guys. I'm sorry if I didn't really make sense in this video, but it's late and I have so many thoughts going through my mind still. Such a good book. Okay, bye guys.